Happy Monday, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. Here in Central Florida, we are maybe or maybe not getting any repercussions from this hurricane. So um, if we do, of course, things may get a little slow this week. So just, bear with me if we have no internet or electricity, which in Central Florida is pretty much the worst thing that happens. I mean, the worst part of that is the lack of air conditioning. But anyway, I know some of you may also be affected by the hurricane or any of the storms coming through. So obviously, let me know when you can if there's something that you need, like more time or whatever, but we'll keep an eye on things here and see where we go. So we're starting week 5 this week. So we are in the second half of the semester, the term, and we are going to be continuing learning about writing and doing writing and all of those fun things. So let me go ahead and start with the walkthrough of the unit. We are writing argument essays, and you guys have already started some preparation for that. But this week we're getting heavily into what it means to write an argument and persuasive writing. So that's where we are. As usual, of course, you're going to want to focus on the readings and resources before you jump into the assignments. So you've got several categories here: persuasive writing, excuse me, and there's some reading assigned there, as well as fact, opinion, and bias. I'm going to check on the interactive. Yeah, and it may just be because I've got the student view, but I will make sure to post that link as well, the fact versus opinion activity. And then you have a sample introductory argument as a sample introduction paragraph for an argumentative essay. Now, I want to be very, very clear with this sample. This is a sample argumentative intro, but we are not writing cyberbullying papers. So this is literally just a sample of the kinds of things that you can do in an introduction, such as asking a question. For example, you see the second sentence there is a question. You will also want to pay careful attention to the thesis, which is the single sentence at the end of this paragraph. And it says, high schools need to implement specific programs surrounding the topic of cyberbullying that provide education on the subject, intervention for those being bullied or doing the bullying, and severe consequences for acts of cyberbullying. You don't always have to have exactly 3 topics or 3 reasons to support your thesis, but it's a very common number. There seems to be sort of a magic to the number 3. It's why we become so hooked on 5-paragraph essays in English classes, especially in high school, because you would have an introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. Now, as your writing grows throughout college, you may still have 3 topics, but you can spend more than 1 sentence on each of those topics. So please be aware that just because you have 3 subtopics does not mean that you have 3 body paragraphs. You could have much more than that if those are very complex topics. So that's where your readings and resources are this week. And then we go back to the unit and we see the 2 assignments. So you've got, as usual, a discussion board. This one is about facts and opinions. So I want you to do some deep thinking about fact versus opinion. A lot of times in this discussion, people get all caught up on the idea that facts are good and opinions are bad. There's nothing wrong with opinions, but in academic writing, we have to back that opinion up with facts and with other people's opinions who we know for a fact are experts on the subject. So we don't want to say facts are great, opinions are bad, but there are opinions that are just wrong. First of all, if your opinion contradicts facts, then your opinion has a big problem. But argumentative topics are more complex than that. There is no easy, like, oh, this is the right one and this is the wrong one. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about facts and opinions here. Now, the other thing I want to point out about this particular assignment, because people miss this a lot, and I don't really know why. It says right there in the middle, at the end of your post, you're going to provide two statements. So two sentences, mark them statement 1 and statement 2. One of those statements should be a fact, and one of those should be an opinion. Don't tell which is which. And of course, then the goal is this gives you something fun to do when you're responding to your fellow classmates, because you'll be able to point out which of their posts, which of their statements was a fact, which of their statements was an opinion. The other thing I want to point out about those is that a fact, it's possible to have something that is a fact that is untrue. So people might say the sky is orange. That's not an opinion. They are stating that as a fact. So when you're doing your statements, make sure one is really an opinion, one sure is really a fact. Okay. And then finally, your writing assignment this week is the argument paragraph, the very first paragraph of what will be your argument essay. So kind of like last week, you sort of pre-wrote 2 paragraphs that may be part of your essay. This week, you are writing your introductory paragraph. And so by the time we get done with this week, you may have 3 paragraphs already that you can use in some way, shape, or form in the argument essay. So there's a link here to the actual argument essay assignment sheet. And I am going to open that because I want to remind you there are only 3 topics to choose from. Notice that cyberbullying is not one of them. I want you to review this assignment sheet this week, but this assignment is not due until the end of week 7. And it states that right on the assignment. But so this is the assignment sheet for the full essay, what you're going to be doing in the essay itself, but your introduction needs to relate to it. So it's important to be thinking about the argument essay as a whole and then writing your introduction this week. So again, the 3 choices are: should cell phones be banned in the classroom? Should there be a pay gap, can't talk today, in sports based on gender? And should childhood obesity be addressed in American children? So the way it's phrased now is a little bit more clear as far as like a yes or no, a pro or a con, one side or another side. But those are still the same 3 that you had to choose from in Unit 4. So that's what you're doing this week in terms of your assignment. And that is pretty much it. Oh, let me go over the actual specifics for the intro though. So the assignment sheet for this week, what's due is right here. And this, of course, is clearly due this week. Notice it starts out the same way, but what you're doing is only writing the first paragraph of your introduction. So you're going to have probably 7 or 8 sentences and then your thesis statement. Okay, so that's what you want to do. Begin with a sentence that hooks the reader and grabs the reader's attention. Have sentences that set up the issue by explaining your topics, and then end with your thesis statement or the main argument of your essay. The thesis is the controlling idea, and it should state your argument and express your topics. So cell phones should be banned in classrooms because X, Y, and Z. Pay gaps in sports should be addressed because of X, Y, and Z, and so on and so forth. All right, so all the criteria are pretty much the same. We are writing in objective third-person voice. These are academic assignments, so we're in third person from here on out. You do not have any research that you have to do for the introduction. But of course, if you did want to get a quote from somewhere or use a statistic or something that you find in an article, then that has to be cited, just like we practiced over the last couple of weeks. All right. So that's your marching orders for week number 5. If you have any questions, let me know. Like I said, we may or may not get a hurricane here. I'm in Orlando, so if you're following the national news, that will help you gauge whether or not I've been in a hurricane. But hope everybody has a great week 5, and I will talk to you later this week in the announcements, and be giving you your grades and feedback on your Unit 4 work over the next few days. So everybody take care. Have a great Monday, and I will talk to you next Monday as well.